Paulo, for all the things that have been said about Miami when it comes to NIL since it started, Miami have not had the problems other schools have had. Florida, Tennessee, we can keep going.
Keep going.
Some others.
But there's never been a mispayment. There's not been an issue. Even, and I know people, when NIL first became a thing, and Nigel Pack, the basketball player, was making $400,000 a year, a 2-year, $800,000 deal to come over from Kansas State, and that blew everybody's mind. Nico was making 4x that. You know what I mean? Things have changed, but regardless of what the amount is, shout out to Game of Thrones, a Lannister always pays their debts. People are not chasing after us. People are not suing us for non-payment or breach of contract or anything. Shout out to the University of Florida, because that case against all of them is going forward. We don't have these issues. Our operation is buttoned up, watertight. It is, we do what we do within the rules, and then we make it happen. So yeah, Miami's not had these issues. And I don't think that we're going to either. Sorry, the water was still sparkling.
Next up with the super chat, iPhone Kane. I guarantee you the quarterback LSU wanted, but got outbid by, my bad. I was trying to read it off the chat here. I am all over the place. Now I got a window that popped up over the super chat. Here we go. iPhone Kane. Here we go. We'll get to it. I guarantee you the quarterback LSU wanted, but got outbid by Michigan, was going to get over $3 million, that being Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, cousin Bryce got way more than $3 million. With that Larry Ellison pay. Yeah. No, that's been well reported. Cousin Bryce got 8 figures to go up there. So true. Indeed he did. But again, you don't want to talk about that, because that was, not you. Ian Maliava and them didn't want to talk about that, because that's a high school recruit, number 1 in America, versus a transfer portal guy who has 7,000 yards passing in his career. And you know what I mean? Carson Beck, Carson Beck stats career. I'm just going to go do this really quickly. Sport reference, please load. It wants to be slow. There we go. Let's see. In 39 games, he has just short of 8,000 yards, 79-12 passing, with 58 touchdowns and 20 interceptions. And I know that 12 of the 20 came last year. I get it. But they had all those drops and everything. But you're talking about a guy with 8,000 yards and 60 touchdowns. Nico hadn't done that, bro. Nico didn't win the SEC. You know what I mean? We're just,
that's it.
People are trying to say, Carson Beck is just a guy. Respectfully, he's not. Going into last season, a lot of people had him towards the top of the NFL draft. Do I think that he's necessarily that? No, I don't. But again, a guy with, I'm rounding slightly, but 8,000 yards passing and 60 touchdowns passing already in his career, way more accomplished than Nico. I'm sorry. And that's not even getting into the running. That's not even getting into the winning games. And remember, wins are not a quarterback stat. But if you want to bring up win-loss record and everything, then we can bring up win-loss record, buddy. What are we talking about here? They're not the same. And if I took everything out of it and we did blind stat profiles, I guarantee you would pick the Carson Beck player and you would pay the Carson Beck player more. I guarantee you. It's only when you bring in the youth and future potential that you would even consider the other.
It's funny because collegiate sports seems to overvalue potential. We saw it even before money was a factor, at least on the table, over the table in terms of recruiting 5 stars, 4 stars. And professional sports seems to have it the other way, especially in baseball, where we're going to pay for what you've done in the past, even though there are recent indications that you're entering the second half of your career and you're probably not going to give us what you were before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, but they, also you got teams like the Braves who are buying up renewal and arbitration years with these, contract extensions as soon as guys get, pulled up and everything, which is its own ecosystem. Speaking of the college ecosystem, go grab Jake Garcia to be the veteran backup quarterback. No.
So Cam, since we're on Carson Beck real quick, and again, this is a reasonable assessment. This is not him throwing for 800 yards against Bethune-Cookman with 7 touchdowns and skewed stats because of outlier games. Just what would be a good stat line for Carson Beck? Reasonable but optimistic if he plays a full season.
That's a great question. Give me 2 seconds. 1, 2. Okay. I think so. Carson Beck had 3,500 yards and 28 touchdowns with 12 picks last year. So I think somewhere in the 32 to 3,700 yards, probably in the upper half of that, with 25 to 30 tuds and single-digit interceptions. I think that is something that could work. So, and I went to go look really quickly. Something analogous to slightly better than what Kevin Jennings did last year. He was 32-45 passing for 23 touchdowns and 11 picks. That was inclusive of the playoffs, where I know that he threw 17 picks in the one game. But something like that, maybe bump those numbers by 5-10%, somewhere in there. And I think that's reasonable in a season where I'm expecting, 13 with a bowl. If things go really well, 14, or whatever games. So something in that realm, give or take 5%.
And if I remember correctly, 24-6 was the TD to pick ratio the year before. So that's pretty strong.
Yeah. So even if he splits the difference between 28-12, 24-6, and he goes 26-9, maybe those are a couple more picks. But I mean, yeah, if you're back at that, you're back in single-digit interceptions and in the mid upper 20s, pushing 30 in terms of passing touchdowns across the year. I think that that's possible and reasonable. And again, because we've seen him do it. Like, there are these multiple years of data points, not one bowl game at the end of a redshirt year and then one middling, number 9, number 10 ranked SEC quarterback year. Wait, where are you getting those numbers from? Because that's what Nico did. Anyways. Sorry. I digress. CF Kane fan. Is there room for the slot receiver out of Syracuse if he comes, that being Trevor Pena? No. All things being equal, like, I'm going with, we got 2 local guys, who are here. Ray Joseph, who, even if he's the backup and rotational guy, and then Malachi Toney. I'm not bringing in a guy that blocks either of them, let alone Malachi Toney, from what we're seeing, about him. I'm not, for a guy who exclusively plays in the slot. So it's not even like, oh, we can maybe flex him out and, he takes a couple snaps from JoJo, or he takes a couple snaps from CJ Daniels, I don't see it. I don't see it.
Falconer TRX coming back with this one. learned Nevin lesson, secret prob never again.
Yeah, with the Nevin Shapiro shenanigans.
Yeah.
Look, again, our operations are airtight, and the proof is in the pudding. So, we keep moving. Billy Jackson saying Nico was going to hold out before the playoff, but he didn't. We remember Jaden Rashada. Yes, indeed. I don't know if George is finally here in the chat. I see that. Welcome, George. Juan Manuel saying 3,800, 36 touchdowns and 10 picks being what he's looking for from Carson Beck. That's a little rich in terms of touchdowns from what we've seen from him and maybe what Miami has at receiver this year. But everything else, I mean, within a reasonable range. I do believe Paulo asking whatever happened to Chance Robinson. Chance Robinson was out this spring. Had heard that, but that wasn't put publicly, so I couldn't say that until it came out publicly after spring. So he's still here, and a guy who could factor into the wide receiver room moving forward.